put the password to log
Oh,
in.
okay.
Now, okay.
Oh.
Okay, now we are.
All right, Aliana, we are on Facebook now. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Bhante. Good evening, Bhante and all Kalyanamita. Namo Buddhaya and Sukhi Hontu. I'm Aliana and welcome to Ti-Ratana Vihara Friday Sutta discussion by Bhante Dr. Ganggodawila Chandima. Tonight's class is the day 144 of Sutta discussion class, the sixth class of Dīghajāṇu Sutta with topic the accomplishment of trust or saddhā-sampadā. Dīghajāṇu Sutta is the 14th sutta that has been chosen by Bhante Chandima for this sutta discussion. In previous classes, Bhante has discussed about Mangala Sutta, Ratana Sutta, Metta Sutta, Sigalowada Sutta, Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, Sabbasawa Sutta, Pattakama Sutta, Patamasamajjivi Sutta, Alawaka Sutta, Davjaga Sutta, Girimananda Sutta, Chulakama Vibhanga Sutta, and Chunda Sutta, which Bhante has elaborated those sutta in depth. For those who have missed our previous classes, please check on Ti-Ratana Vihara Amapadana Klang Facebook page and YouTube channel. We have uploaded the previous classes there. We are always welcoming newcomers, therefore, please share around about this class with others, friends, and family members, so that whoever that wish to join the class via Zoom, where we can engage directly with Bhante, can contact the Vihara through TRV Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp. Or you can join the class from Ti-Ratana Vihara Facebook channel, where we broadcast the Sutta class live on every Friday evening from 8:30 till 10 p.m. Kuala Lumpur time. Now let me introduce you to our speaker, Bhante Dr. Ganggodawila Chandima, who is the Associate Editor of the Journal of International Buddhist Studies, or JIBS, which is published by the Buddhist Research Institute of Mahachulalongkorn Raja Vidyalaya University in Thailand. Bhante was previously a research fellow at the Center for Studies in Religion and Society, or CSRS, at University of Victoria, Canada. Bhante Dr. Chandima was also a Theravada Buddhist chaplain at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver, Canada from year 2012 till 2016. Recently, Bhante Chandima has joined the Ateneo de Manila University in Philippines as Assistant Professor of Buddhist Philosophy. Bhante also is the Senior Advisor of Patisota, a virtual Dhamma organization that hosts a weekly online Pali reading class, Sutta discussion, Dhamma talks, and a variety of other Dhamma activities. His Dhamma work can be accessed at www.blogspot.patisota. His Dhamma works can be accessed at www.patisota.blogspot.com, and you also can follow Bhante at Patisota Facebook account. Without further ado, we will come once again, Bhante. And as always, thank you very much for the wonderful guidance and teaching. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you, Aliana, for that introduction. Good evening, Dhamma friends. Welcome back. We are going to get started TRU Sutta discussion day 144. Before we start, let us pay respect to the Buddha. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. So today we have Aliana, Lim, Kim, Margaret, Melinda, Paduma, Ochuwong, and Cheng, Barbara, Wu, Corina, Yuon, Hema. Some are here with their acronyms. Vasanta Raja, Om, Yo, Santindran, Shuin, Alison, Cindy, Yo, and some others might join. So we will discuss, perhaps I'm going to discuss about this video streaming every day, every Friday. We'll have a better plan for that. So then we will be able to get in this at the time, especially through a certain website. So we can do that next time. So we won't have this small issue. So today we are going to discuss Dīghajāṇu suttas, Vyaggapaja suttas. I mean, discussion with regard to the next life. Now, last 4 days we were discussing about the Buddha's advice for Vyaggapaja or Dīghajāṇu with regard to this life. And now, from today onwards, we are discussing another four things, another 4 practices that one has to do with regard to next life. But the thing is that they are supposed to be practiced in this life itself, not in the next life. So we cannot wait until next life to practice as such. So they must be practiced in this life. And you can see here, you can go to the text here. Right, you can see here, the last Friday we discussed about Samajīvikata, right? Samajīvikata means balanced finances. I think we discussed about how to balance finances in very, very interesting ways. And here we can see the shift. Chattaru me Vyaggapaja Dhamma Kulaputtasa Samparaya Hita. What is Samparaya? This Pali word, sampara. Now here we see the Pali word, ditta dhamma hitai. But here, sampara. Let me underline. Ditta dhamma and sampara. So the 4 things we discussed earlier, Uttana-sampadā, Arakta-sampadā, Kalyana-mittata, Samajīvikata, they all are about this life. We engage them in this life, and then we will be able to succeed in this life. But now samparaya. Samparaya means samparaya. Samparaya means next life.
Future.
Next life, right? Samparaya. So what are the things that lay people are supposed to practice for the next life? I think a lot of lay people are very concerned about the next life. Aren't you? Are you very concerned about what will happen to you when you die? Is that why you come into Sutta discussion, or you want to learn Dhamma and you don't mind about next life? Whether you like it or not, it will happen, right? So how should we look at our next life? Because Buddhism talks about karma and rebirth. So Buddhism always emphasizes that there are many other beings in this universe. There are animals, there are hungry ghosts, there are devas, there are petas, there are nagas, right? And there are brahmas, and there are asuras. So there are a lot of different beings, and there are subsets, many other small tiny beings, such as what you call kumbandas, right? There are many other tiny beings. Some are very terrible, some are looking good. So definitely, then we think that having a proper idea about the next life before we die is important. That's why here Buddha is asking this young businessman, you might not think about the next life. You want to be good in your financial activities, but there are things that you need to do in this life for the next life. But where is the most focus with regard to the next life? Are people imagining, hypothesizing about the next life? Who will I be in the next life? Will I be a snake? Will I be a frog? Will I be a human? Will I be a deva? Is this the concern? Or is our concern about what are we supposed to do now? Where is the most attention going around with regard to next life? It is mostly about what will happen to us. But what will happen to us is a very fearful perception, right? Because we don't know what will happen. That's such a very, but there are things we can do. But what will exactly happen to us is something very uncertain at this point. Because in order that to happen, our last thought also matters to us. So still we are very early, very premature to talk about those things. And we also know, if you look at some of the stories of some disciples, monks, nuns, upasakas, upasikas, animals, some other devas, and how they ended up their life. Sometimes we did not expect some good people to die. That is normal, but die and to be reborn as very wretched and very miserable in their life. Say, for instance, Malika. Malika's story is such a very important story that she was reborn in hell for some time, having offered the highest dana to the Shakyamuni Buddha, but she was able to get back after a week of time. And what about King Ashoka, Dharma Ashoka's story? That is something interesting as well, right? So the most important thing with regard to our next life is what we are supposed to do right now before we die. That should be our prime attention. Not that who will I be, right? Who will I be? And how to die mindfully. How do we know when we're going to die and what time we're going to die? So it's better to practice what the Buddha says here in this Dīghajāṇu Sutta with regard to next life. So sampara is next life. So the Buddha identifies 4 things that every layperson must have cultivated, must have developed, improved before the layperson is going to pass away. What are they? In Pali we can see Katame Chattaru, saddhā-sampadā number 1, sīla-sampadā number 2, Chāka-sampadā number 3, paññā-sampadā number 4. So we are going to talk about saddhā-sampadā today. It's a very short analysis, but there are a lot to discuss. Katamāca vyagha pajja saddhā-sampadā. What is the accomplishment of saddha? Ida vyagha pajja kulaputto saddho bhoti. Saddhahati tathāgatasya bodhi. Let's see here. It is when a gentleman or a lady has trust. We have a problem with regard to faith. Trust with regard to the Buddha's awakening. Thinking and believing that Buddha is it Arahang, Samma Sambuddho, Vijja Charana Sampanno, Sugato, then Lokavidu, Anuttaro Purushadhamma Sarathi, Sattadi Manussanam, Buddho Bhagavan. So there are 9 great qualities which I sent you through 3 links. So this is called accomplishment in trust, not faith, because faith is more familiar with the salvation. You don't have a salvation, emancipation in Buddhism. So the English word salvation might not be a good word, because when you say salvation, God must intervene with regard to my own salvation. Buddha does not intervene my personal enlightenment. Buddha only teaches me how to do it, and I have to do it on my own. So I would say there are some issues with regard to some of the translations. I could say enlightenment, awakening. If I cannot find out any word, I would say nirvana or nibbana. That is better. So what the Buddha is trying to tell us here with regard to saddha is that saddha means believing in his enlightenment. Okay? How to believe in his enlightenment? By understanding his qualities, great qualities. How many great qualities does the Buddha possess of?
9.
9. 9. Huh?
9.
So then the more we understand the context of these nine, the greater trust that we are creating, improving in our life. So enlightenment, Buddhahood can only be understood, I mean, maybe not as an enlightenment. Uh, uh, we will be able to understand who he was and who he is through developing a good reading, contextual reading with regard to what these nine great qualities are. Now, there is a small issue here. Remember, we discussed about saddha in our past discussions. Remember? May I know where we discussed saddha in our previous sutta discussion? Tell me one sutta where we discussed saddha. We discussed saddha under Patama Samajivi Sutta, right? Remember Nakula Mata, Nakula Pita? In that sutta, Buddha was telling Nakula Mata, Nakula Pita, if you want to be reborn together, you must have cultivated trust equally, discipline equally, then generosity, dana equally, and wisdom equally. That's for a couple, huh? If they want to be reborn, every couple has to understand they have to they have to try. It won't be happening automatically. They have to try to practice together and then to attain a certain equal status with regard to those four. And when we learn about some other suttas, we discuss about saddha, right? There are many suttas. Now, every time we learn about the basic saddha, I'm not talking about Nakula Mata, Nakula Pita story in the Patama Samajivi Sutta, we were asked to think that saddha is the uh, understanding about the triple gem. Triple gem means Ti-Ratana, right? Ti-Ratana. Ti-Ratana is your temple's name, huh? Ti-Ratana. You can say Ti-Ratana, but Ti-Ratana, right? So then the saddha in many suttas means an unwavering, an unshakable level of trust with regard to the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. But here, Dīghajāṇu Sutta says, the Buddha says to Dīghajāṇu, it's not about Dhamma, it's not about Sangha, it's only about the Buddha. I think you can see that in the text. That means for someone who is into, I mean, there are different people who are following Buddhism. For this gentleman, Dīghajāṇu, the Buddha said that as a layperson, you might not be a serious practitioner, but as a layperson, you should believe, you should trust the enlightenment of the Buddha. Right? There is no mention about Dhamma and Sangha. So when we discuss about saddha, then we were discussing earlier in many sutta discussions that there are two types of saddha. May I know those two types of saddha? What are they? In Pali or in English? Is the word saddha new to you? I don't think so. It's a very popular, very familiar word for all of you. Are there types of saddha? Types? Different types? Now we know the context is trust. In order to go to that context, there should be different categories of saddha, right? So what are they? How many and what are they?
Faith, faith,
Huh?
faith.
No, faith is already out of our discussion. Because it's out of discussion already. We discussed that faith could not be a good translation for saddha because faith, well, we use English. English is coming from Abrahamic religious perspectives, Catholic, Christian. But there are certain words that are not really going to work out for Buddhist, especially saddha. faith is mostly coming from that God-centric idea that you are going to develop a certain, I mean, trust without even having the opportunity to do your own investigation about that particular person. So, saddha is not faith in that context.
Yeah.
But many translations are with saddha. No, I'm not asking the English word. I'm asking, are there types of saddha within the Buddhist texts? And if so, what are they? I think we discussed. I hope that you must have written down in your notes. Okay, this is a what do you call a revision problem. Revision. Okay, so there are two saddhas. The first saddha is, let me write,
Ordinary saddha.
ordinary saddha. Are you guessing something?
Ordinary saddha.
Rootless saddha. How about confidence, unshakable confidence, belief?
Yeah, the problem is not with the translation now. We know trust is the good translation. I'm asking, are there types of saddha when it comes to saddha? How do people practice saddha? Depending on that, there are certain type of saddha. Okay, to see
Mundane saddha.
mundane saddha. Can you
Blind.
explain that?
Blind.
Okay. Then there must be an extra mundane saddha too, right? Mundane saddha and supramundane or extra mundane saddha. How do we understand that? Yes.
Wise saddha and blind.
Yes, that's how I explained to you. That's exactly how I explained to you many months ago. Let me tell you. The first one is amolika saddha. Amolika saddha means this is what we call
Blind faith.
blind saddha.
Blind
Blind
faith.
saddha means
Blind faith.
Blind
blind
faith.
saddha means baseless trust. When we
Saddha.
trust
Blind saddha.
about when we trust about someone or something about someone, we cannot just trust without having a sort of investigation in our own, especially with regard to spiritual. Second one is called akaravati saddha.
Wisely practice saddha.
We can say wise saddha.
Wisely, yeah.
Because why we have to call wise saddha? The Buddha always told us any dhamma quality, be that metta, karuna, mudita, upekka, or be that
Yeah.
any other good quality, you name it, all must be practiced with
With wisdom.
wisdom.
Yes.
Now, most of the questions you may be asking, I'm so kind to other people, but every time people are trying to wash their hands on my head, and then, or maybe they're going to take me for granted. Why? Is it a problem with your karuna? Yes, because you don't practice karuna, compassion, with wisdom. That means you have been practicing blind karuna. I think this is our retreat theme last few weeks ago, right? Our retreat at the Ti-Ratana Center, Vihara, was that how not to practice blind karuna, how to practice wise karuna, if you can remember. So that's why Buddha said, when you do dana, do the wise dana, not the blind dana. When you do the meditation, do the wise meditation. I mean, the wise meditation, you use wisdom to practice whatever the meditation you practice. Now here you understand Amolika Saddha, Akaravati Saddha. I have to find out the sutta for this. We have to find out the sutta for this. Where does the Buddha talk about these two types of saddha? See, then we can go ahead. Sutta 4. Right. Okay, so there are many suttas. We can pull them up later, where Buddha mentioned these two saddhas. So there are two saddhas. That means blind saddha, wise saddha. Now we can even practice 9 great qualities with amolika saddha. How to practice the first, what you call the first Ratana, the Buddha, with regard to amolika saddha or with amolika saddha. May I know something very interesting? We all have a reading about Buddha, right? You have your own reading about the Buddha. Everybody has their own reading about the Buddha. I don't know where you started, maybe from a small booklet from the temple, maybe on internet, maybe you heard about something that was shared by somebody about the Buddha. So then we all have a certain reading about the Buddha. So whenever you get to learn about the Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha or Buddha in general, you may not perhaps accept without investigating a little bit. I don't know whether you accepted already, but normally as a Buddhist, you should take some time to accept whether this information about the Buddha is correct or incorrect. But if you had accepted without doing a certain search, what kind of search is that? Somebody is saying this is the Buddha and this happened to Buddha. Okay, who is saying all that? Where is it mentioned? This kind of a small inquiry is important. If you had not done that small inquiry, then your saddha even about the Buddha is going to be amolika saddha. Even the things that you are supposed to believe, trust, can also be practiced in the form of blind saddha. Right? So blind saddha is something that you, especially, when you are surrounded by gossipers, right? Gossipers are always telling you a lot of things, right? Lot to process. They tell a lot of things to you. So then, are you going to believe everything that they are saying to you? Perhaps yes, perhaps not, right? No. So that's why Buddhism is always asking us, whatever the information that come to you, depending on the situation, you need to process by making a small inquiry with regard to that, right? So don't go with the amolika saddha. Akaravati saddha means that every time when you get to hear something, you are not going to make a fast decision. You take some time with depending on the information, and then you wisely make a decision. It's very important in our life. So as a layperson, if you want your next life to be a very good life, right, then you must first trust the Buddha's 9 great qualities in the way how Buddha explained those 9 great qualities to you. So that's a very important thing to do. That's why use Akaravati Saddha to learn, study, and discuss about the Shakyamuni Buddha, right? So that it's not only about the Buddha or Dhamma or Sangha. It's also about certain Dhamma works, right? Now think about if you get to read a book like Upaya Kaushalya Sutra. What is that? This book. Upaya Kaushalya Sutra. Sutra about, thank you, skillful means. This is a Mahayana book. This Mahayana book is suggesting, very interesting book in a way. In Mahayana, there is a belief that there are times that your ethics, your sila, is being challenged by the conditions. Can you name one such challenging situation for your sila? Are you having more opportunities to practice sila, or are you having a lot of challenges to practice sila? It's not only that I want to practice sila, sometimes my situation, my conditions might give me a hard time too. Tell me a challenging situation with regard to practicing your sila. What is your sila? What is your sila as a layperson?
The 5 precepts, is
The
it?
five precepts.
Nothing else.
The,
Five.
uh,
Not killing, not stealing. This is what we're going to discuss next week. So tell me a challenging situation that you go through when it comes to practicing sila. Are
Killing,
you
in,
going through
killing insects.
killing insect? Because wherever we're going to live, insects are coming after us, right? We have no choice. So then what to do with these insects? If we are looking at insects or whoever from Upaya Kaushalya Sutra, is Mahayana Sutra, because Mahayana Buddhism promotes the idea called Upaya Kaushalya, skillful means. It says that at certain time, this is not the mainstream Buddhist idea, okay? Don't take it as the mainstream Buddhist, early Buddhist idea. This is this book's idea that sometimes you may have to look at the suffering of the people because Mahayana talk about Bodhisattva, right? They are talking Bodhisattvas. So there is a story in this book, this Mahayana work. What's the story? 500 merchants are going on a sea voyage. They're going to do a business somewhere. Maybe crossing the ocean to a certain place and then doing the business. And a bandit, maybe sea pirate, got into the ship halfway. Now the sea pirate's idea is to kill all the 500 merchants. So the head shipman, I would say the let's say captain, right? Captain or maybe the head person out of these 500 sea merchants was a bodhisattva. Now he thinks that the rest of the 500 merchants are also bodhisattvas in the story. He thinks now, if I did not do something at this point, because now this what do you call the bandit or the thief or sea pirate is going to attack all the 500 sea merchants in this ship. He's going to kill everybody and take their belongings. So he is thinking, if I let this happen, this bandit or sea pirate is going to make a very bad karma. And those 500 merchants are also going to do something for him. They are not waiting until they get destroyed by this man. The story is saying that this head merchant, Bodhisattva, is thinking, okay, then I need to minimize the suffering, the karmic suffering. So I'm going to secretly approach, ambuscade this man. I'm going to destroy this person. So that's the story idea. That means Bodhisattvas are going to minimize the suffering of other people. But this is not real Buddhism to us, because we understand that killing, even a thought of killing is not encouraged in early Buddhism. That's why I'm telling you, when you learn these books, you have to be very careful. That's why it's very important to learn certain early Buddhist sutras to understand the basic Buddhism. So we are not looking at Upaya Kaushalya, but still we believe that in times of challenges with regard to Sila, Samadhi, Panna, we have to be wise so we can overcome those challenges. So once again, saddha means a proper investigation with regard to the Buddha's 9 great qualities. This is saddha. Then how do I know that I have saddha? I can only know that I have saddha when I know why the Buddha is Arahant, why the Buddha is Sammā-Sambuddha, why the Buddha is Vijjācārana Sampanna, why the Buddha is Sugata, why the Buddha is Lokavidu, why the Buddha is Sattādeva Manusāna, Anuttaro Bhuṣadhamma Sārthi, why the Buddha is Bhagava, why the Buddha is Buddhu. Do we have this kind of a reading, or we only recite this Itipiso Bhagava statement only when we are very feared? What are the times that we are trying to read this, recite this Itipiso Bhagava statement? Only there are moments, chanting, a regular chanting. in time of fear, or maybe frustration, or maybe kind of different other miserable moments. Or maybe we are going to now looking at this kind of a situation. What are the moments we are reading this Itipiso statement? Are we reciting Itipiso Bhagava, the statement which has 9 great qualities, with a certain understanding about the Buddha? That is what we call here as saddhā. So let us first get into the Buddha's first great quality. What is the first great quality of the Buddha? Arahant, right? Did we discuss this part some time ago? Yes, we discussed Dīghajāṇu Sutta long time ago. When we discussed Dīghajāṇu Sutta, what did we discuss? We said that there is a war, right? There was a war between Sura and Asura, Deva and then Asuras. And then every time Deva lost the battle to the Asuras, because the head god Sakka asked his fellow Devas to look up to the edge of some other Deva's banner, the flag, but it didn't work out. Finally, those Devas approached the Buddha and informed the Buddha that method did not work. So can you help us? How to fight with these Asuras with some confidence? And then the Buddha told them, you can first think about the 9 great qualities of the Buddha. In case your fear and frustration still keep happening, then you can think about the 6 great qualities of the Dhamma. And in case still you are still going through fear and all those mental negativities, then you can think about Sangha's 9 great qualities. Then rest assured, I guarantee that your frustration, fear, and negativities must go away at the point that you remember about Sangha, right? So that was what we discussed. So when we discuss Dīghajāṇu Sutta, we also discuss about all these 9 great qualities. But today I'm going to show you a couple of things so you will understand. But before that, may I know what is your reading about the Buddha in terms of how to understand the Buddha? Because when we talk about the Buddha, we have a lot of things: Buddha images, Buddha statues. How did the Buddha ask us to believe him? What did the Buddha say? Who will be your teacher after I passed away? Right? So it's a very, massive, expanded area. Now think about when the Buddha was going to pass away, what was one of the questions asked by his disciples? Who will be our teacher?
Great teacher, yeah.
When you pass away?
Yes.
Right?
Who will be our, yes.
This was, I think, discussed in Mahaparinibbana Sutta.
Yeah.
And what was the answer given by the Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha?
The Dhamma. Dhamma
The
is the
Dhamma. The
Dhamma
Dhamma
will be
was
your
teacher.
teacher. But Dhamma is not a living person. How can Dhamma be our teacher? That's a question, right? Dhamma,
No,
as a
it is
person,
the Buddha.
if
It's the word of the Buddha. So you believe in his teaching, then we have
that's what we have to take. But if you look at when the Buddha was talking to someone face to face, and how that person understood life, and finally maybe he became a good person, or maybe attained Nibbana or Sotapanna. That was a very direct, perhaps it could have been an easy experience. But now when we look at Dhamma, we know that Dhamma books, Tripitaka, Pali Canon, Digha, Majjhima, Samyutta, Anuttara, all these works that have been coming down to us for many centuries, right? So if you look at Pali Sutras, and we have sometimes some issues with regard to repetitions, right? There are so many repetitions in many suttas, right? You can see pay repetitions. So it doesn't mean that it is untrue, but the thing is that repetitions came into these suttas because these were handed down to us by monks through oral tradition. They had to memorize it. Now, the problem is that, when it is memorized and when it is handed to us for almost 2,600 years, how do we know that there were things that were added to the canon? Can we say that nothing was added to the canon? Now, if you look at certain commentaries and certain things, now say for instance, Pali commentaries written by Buddha Ghosha, there are things that we can learn.
Visuddhimagga.
Yeah, Visuddhimagga or any other commentary. Now, in some of the commentaries, Buddha Ghosha mentions that killing an ant has a lesser karmic weight than killing an elephant, like a larger animal. Now, the idea is that, looking at the karmic weight depending on the size of the animal, right? Now, the problem is that early Buddhism says that intention is the problem, it's not the size, right? Sometimes somebody might be getting ready to kill a mosquito for 1 month, having ill will, vyapada and all that, right? It's not the mosquito here. The problem is the mind that is happening for 1, 2, 3, 4 months, maybe planning to do it. So that's why these sutta studies are very important. Get to the original roots as much as possible. Even sometimes when you get to some of the roots, we still have some issues with some other suttas. How to cross-check, how to understand certain teachings with some other suttas. So then when the Buddha said, when he was asked, who will be our teacher? I am telling you that Dhamma will be your teacher, right? But then why did he not appoint any other senior monk? That's a good question, right? Now we are always looking for a successor. By that time, Venerable Moggallana had passed away. Venerable Sariputta had passed away. But there were some other senior great disciples, including Venerable Mahakassapa, who later on came back and then, engaged in the funeral activities of the Buddha, right? But why did he not appoint someone like, because nobody can replace the Buddha? That's the problem here. Nobody can replace. It's not about someone is saying, no, Buddha said this and that. Then the most suitable candidate for that could be not a Buddha, Venerable Ananda, because he knew all the suttas. But just having to learn all the suttas, it even delayed his enlightenment. Very interesting, right? Don't learn too many suttas, huh? You will delay your enlightenment. Like Venerable Ananda. What happened to him? He knew all the suttas. Just because he had to learn all the suttas, he had to, not in his best choice. He could not attain Nibbana. That's why even yesterday I was talking. Learning too much of Dhamma could also be a problem. Learning too less of the Dhamma could also be a problem. So we have to find out this perfect balance in our life. Not wasting our time and not misusing our time. And then trying to make our time to learn Dhamma in a very efficient, effective way. Right? So Buddha didn't want to appoint anybody, but he knew nobody can replace him. And then this is how we understand the Buddha's nature. And then the time passed by. Theravada came in. After some time, Mahayana came in, and Vajrayana came in. When the Mahayana came in, Mahayana philosophy, Mahayana teachings, they try to tell that everybody can become a Buddha. What do you think? Is it a great idea? That all these are bodhisattvas who are in the meeting today. Even everybody who is watching from Facebook, right? And then Mahayana Buddhism says, then don't kill animals. Why? The rooster can be a bodhisattva, right? And that pig can be a bodhisattva. Out of something the pig must have done, now is suffering. And don't kill the ant. That tiny ant, maybe tomorrow when the mosquito is trying to get some blood from you, bodhisattva mosquito. He can be a bodhisattva. Right? This is the Mahayana idea, but Theravada says not everybody can be Buddha. You should be able to follow, practice, paramita, and all that. Right? So that's why the what do you call the teachings took a different shape when it comes to the Buddha. So all in all, now when the Buddha's life as a person was kind of stabilized within the text and the literature, then we were trying to look at him through a Buddha statue or an image. But the thing is, nobody has seen the Buddha. They are trying to sculpture the Buddha with the way that they want to see. But there are a couple suttas where we understand the Buddha's through physical attire. What's the sutta? Lakkana Sutta, right? Lakkana Sutta and Ambat Sutta. Dīghajāṇu's Lakkana Sutta. If you can find out maybe later. This sutta gives all the important physical aspects of the Buddha. So, but the problem is, can we see the Buddha through his body? According to the Buddha, it's difficult. So remember when we discussed about Vakkali story? When Vakkali, the monk Vakkali was looking at the Buddha. And then when the Buddha asked, why are you looking at me all the time? I think it's kind of staring. And the Buddha, and then he said to the Buddha, because I became a monk, I want to see you just because I want to see you. I like to see you. Then the Buddha, you can't see me like this. You must know Paticca-samuppada first. Right? Depend origination. Then only you know Dhamma. When you know Dhamma, only you can see me. Now we understand why did the Buddha tell that after me, there is no teacher other than the Dhamma. Now we know. Why? The Buddha asks us to see the Buddha through the Dhamma. That first Paticca-samuppada, then that Paticca-samuppada helps us to understand it. So when we are learning about the Buddha that way, we also get into the Buddha's great qualities as a part of that journey. So first is Arahant. There are a lot of information, but I am going to summarize. Why is the Buddha Arahant? Breaker of the spokes of the wheel of samsara. If the samsara is a wheel, right? And then it is said that the Buddha had smashed all these spokes of the samsara. His samsaric journey. Have we smashed our own spokes of the samsara? If we are in a samsaric wheel, have we done that already? Or are we still carrying that forward? We are still happily carrying that forward. We don't know where we are going to carry that forward to now. Right? The Buddha has broken the spokes of that samsaric wheel. Destroyer of the akusala enemies, wielding the weapon of wisdom. Normally we understand in our life we have friends and people who sometimes don't like us. But according to Buddha, the real true enemies are our own akusalas. Lobha, dosa, moha, these are the real enemies. But can we try to destroy them with some physical things? Can we try to destroy these akusala enemies with some physical things, physical activities? No, because they are abstract. So then we have to watch how is my lobha, greed arising, how it has been arising within me. How and why am I getting angry at different times? Why am I getting frustrated in my life? Why am I disappointed? And how other people are trying to make me disappointed, frustrated. And when that is happening next time, I want to watch my own frustration. But unfortunately, many people, they are not able to look at what's happening to them. What they are looking at is the ripple effect of the frustration, ripple effect of the anger. What happened to me now? Then a lot of things have happened by that time. But not that they were able to see the frustration, disappointment, anger, indignation, while it is happening, right? So then we are able to see our own akusala enemy. And moha, when lobha, dosa are really giving us a hard time, our decisions are going to be very diluted. We don't know what we are doing. We talk whatever the thing that come to our mind. We just do things driven by reactions. Responses are not coming to us. So we are diluted. Then we have to understand, accept, admit that the true enemies are my lobha, dosa, moha, and the rest of the subsequent akusalas, upakilesas, asavas, papanchas. These are my real true enemies. But I don't have to be angry with them. I have to mindfully observe what are they doing to me in my life, in my sansaric life. So the Buddha truly got rid of these akusala enemies. And then another reason why he is Arahant is that the one most worthy of the requisites. Remember when Mara came to the Buddha to fight with him just before he became the Buddha? And then Mara was trying to tell the Buddha, you can't become the Buddha. And there's no proof that you can show to me that you are eligible, deserve to be the Buddha. Then what did the Buddha do at that time? The Buddha showed the proof. What was the proof? For his paramitas, perfections. What did he do at that point? Now he wanted to show Mara that I have proof here. That I should become the Buddha. What was the proof? He touched the earth. And at that point, there were a lot of tremors happening with a lot of sounds. And normally we understand as a natural activity, there are tremors and earthquakes can happen. But at that time in Buddhism, it is said that the earth wanted to support the Buddha to say that this person had been going through a lot of perfections, 30 over perfections to come to this point. So he is the most deserved person for all this. We are learning all these things because of his teachings, right? Even after almost 2,600 years ago. Then we should have a very specific, very special place in our life with regard to the Buddha at this point, the way how we look at it. And then finally, with regard to Arahant, the Buddha never engages in any akusala, even in secret. That's pretty interesting, huh? That means definitely is one of the very important things that Buddha has is that he never engages, he never makes an akusala, even in secret way. How important is that to our life? Now, when you practice Dhamma, I mean, you might be observed by other fellow Dhamma practitioners. When you go to a retreat, when you go to the temple, they might be watching. You might have a peer pressure at that point. It's kind of like invisible peer pressure coming from other Dhamma practitioners, if that is happening. Huh? I mean, when you all work towards your own practice, that means, oh, who is doing better sila? Who is doing a better meditation? Who is doing a better chanting? Who is doing a better activity in your in life? But to minimize that peer pressure, we learn from the Buddha that we are not even supposed to do anything, any akusala, even secretly. Can you think about an example?
Beating the traffic light, Bhante. Beating
Yes.
the traffic light when no one is looking, no cars are around.
Yeah, but the three spirits are looking at you, in Buddhism. Right? Actually, why we have to stop in front of that kind of a traffic light? And we just watch when the cops are not watching us if somebody is trying to go. But we don't know there is a vehicle coming, oncoming traffic, or maybe the side. That means we should have the discipline. Just forget about that thing. We are talking about something very serious in our kusala activity. Think about killing versus killing thoughts. Many Buddhists who are following the Buddha, they know killing is so bad. What about killing thoughts? Thoughts of destroying other people. Not even physically, mentally, physically, emotionally. Are we going through these kind of destroying thoughts on a daily basis? That is not our choice. But because we are not disciplined enough, trained enough in Sila Samadhi Panya, they are coming to us. That's the problem. We know it is bad. But still, when you're spending your normal day life, they are coming because you haven't had enough training with regard to Sila Samadhi Panya, that training properly. Then how are we going to respond to these things? What kind of a thought that can come to us? Especially we understand that thought as ill will. Ill will means vyapada thought. And why is it coming to us? It is because we have not trained our Sammaditthi perspective. Right view is not enough. Our right view, Sammaditthi, has not been developed to that extent. That's why we might be juggling with vyapada. So how to combat, how to overcome these unnecessary thoughts with regard to ill will? Now let us understand ill will thoughts. Can someone tell me what are the ill will thoughts that someone can go through in his or her daily life? Of course, you are not killing anybody, destroying anybody, but still the thoughts of ill will can come to you. Can you recognize certain thoughts as such? Yeah. So then we can understand Arahant very well, the personality of the Buddha. Anybody?
Bhante, like cursing someone because they do a wrong thing to us, or they
Curse,
make us angry.
cursing someone, right? Cursing. Why we are getting to cursing? It is because a sudden reaction to what is happening, right? Then you don't like to accept that thing from that person. You might be saying, how many things I have been doing for you? How are you going to treat me like this? I'm so angry about it. You can't say you should have withdrawn it right away, right? And you are juggling with that reality with regard to your loved ones. So that means one of the ways is that swearing, cursing, which is very bad with regard to our Dhamma practice. This is one thing. Another type of ill will that someone may go through during the day. Yes, Padma.
Stealing.
What's that?
Stealing.
Stealing?
Steal.
Is stealing a form of ill will?
Oh, you're talking about ill will, sorry.
We are
Ill will.
talking ill will because the problem here is that doing akusala secretly. So one of the ways people can do akusala secretly is ill will. So what are the other forms of ill will?
Jealousy.
Jealous.
Spread lies, gossip.
Okay.
Backstepping. Backstepping.
Yeah. Backstepping, wishing bad things happen to the person.
Yes.
That is, yes. Backstabbing and then wishing bad. Actually, can we expect someone suffering as a Buddhist? That's a very good thing. Because cursing, swearing, expecting someone's unhappiness. As Buddhists, can we do that?
No.
We are not supposed to do it. We can do it or not. We are not supposed to do it. Why? What is the source for that? Why we are not supposed to do it? How did the Buddha say that we cannot do that? In the Metta Sutta. Now don't tell me if Metta is not working. That's because if this is happening. Why Metta is not working? Because Metta has not gone to that level. What is the Pali stanza for that?
Bhante,
Naparo. Yes.
what we are doing is not actually want to wish him harm or do him harm, but that is just an expression of our unhappiness that he has done something. We don't mean to do it. We don't mean to cause him, even you scold him or curse him, but just an expression of your frustration at the moment. You make me
Yes,
angry, I just
yes,
say something, but I
yes.
don't mean it. I don't
Well,
mean, in fact, I still love the person.
or still love the person, but at the same time you curse.
Angry,
No.
emotions.
Okay. Well, I understand. I understand how it works. I mean,
Ah,
most of these frustrations are being released in a
ah,
way that the person is not really expecting the suffering, but
yeah,
still trying to threaten the other person,
yeah,
trying to, I would say, show certain boundaries about what's happening financially and all that, right?
ah,
But the problem, I'm not talking about whether it is happening or not. What I'm saying is that the moment that you are even thinking that, because during that time you are really mad, right? That's the
yeah.
problem. During that 1 minute, 30 seconds, you are really mad. You might do anything at that point. I mean, if you even take care of yourself. So that's the problem. That's why Buddha says in Metta Sutta, if you really want to practice metta, you cannot go to that level. Why? This is the stanza. Naparo paranni kubbeta, nati manyeta katta chinan kanji. Now the last two lines are the most important one. Vyarosana patiga sanya, out of anger and then ill will. What do you call Vyarosana patiga sanya, nanya manyas dukkha. Out of anger and then ill will, let
Ah.
no one expect another person suffering. This is real metta. Not that you do a 5 minute metta early in the morning, may I be well, happy, peaceful, and then another like 20 hours you are hating somebody. What kind of metta is that? That's the problem here because we don't study the suttas well, and then we think just by praying and metta as a prayer, mantra is going to work us. So now here, what we learn is that in our life, we cannot change some people. It's okay. We don't have to change them. But when we are becoming better people, they will also become affected by that good nature. You don't tell that I'm a good person, you must be good just like me. Then why should I be like you? I mean, I'm a different person. I don't want to follow
Bhante,
you, right? So
Bhante,
then,
I think for a worldly person, lay person like us living a mundane life, this feeling can only be we can only have if the person has attained certain level of achievement in the practice. Maybe he's a sotapan. Other than that, this reaction, I think is common to the majority of the people. For example, one day I said, now there are a lot of scammers, isn't it? Scam your money, scam everything. So the victim who cannot scam, he will curse the scammer.
oh, that's,
You
yeah,
do all the bad,
right.
say all the bad thing about him, but you cannot do anything. You
Yeah.
cannot really do any harm to him.
Yes. Okay. Well, we are not like normal people, uh, the people who are not learning Dhamma. So we have a better role with regard to how to handle a scammer, how to handle a difficult person. That's why you are here. That's why you are coming here on Friday. You don't want to be a normal person who is not coming to the Sutta discussion. What's the difference between you and them then at that point? So what we are trying to say here is that yes, it's a normal emotion. We can become frustrated. We can become unhappy. But when we learn some wisdom, we will minimize it. We will overcome. We will stop it. We will reduce it. That is where we want to go. So now when we learn about the Buddha, Buddha never make any akusala. Definitely it's out of the discussion. Akusala secretly. Then we should learn from him. We have to try. We have to try. Next time when I become mad, angry, is it a very fair reason for me to become angry at that point? I don't think so. Maybe I could have behaved differently. So in this way, we are learning about why the Buddha is Arahant. We have to learn a lot about. On one side, we are learning him in special way. On the other hand, we are learning how to incorporate certain aspects of Arahant into our life. Then only we have a good trust about the Buddha. Otherwise, this trust will not come to us. Now, if you say that, okay, this is impossible to do, then how are we going to trust the Buddha? We can say that he's enlightened, we are not enlightened. But at least we think that it is possible in some ways, then we can feel that the trust is there. If the Buddha could do in that large way, I also can try my level best to become so. I can try. Otherwise, what is the difference between me and somebody else who is not learning Dhamma? So this is one very interesting dimension about Arahant. So next time, when you are reading, when you are thinking about the Buddha, the first thing when you are thinking about the Buddha, that should come to you, Itipiso Bhagava Arahant. Why is the Buddha Arahant? Because the Buddha was monitoring, Buddha was understanding his own samsaric journey. He cut it, and then he cut the spokes of their samsaric cycle. And he destroyed his akusala enemies. And he's the worthiest person because he deserves for that enlightenment. And he never did any akusala, even in secret ways. So then I learn about the Buddha and I try to do similar things in my life. And you will see the living proof. You will see the living benefits when you understand the Buddha that way. That is the proper way to understand the Buddha. Thereby you are having saddha. Now, we don't have time to discuss all these qualities, but I would pick up another quality here. Now, this is Arahant. You can read rest. Arahant, Sammā-Sambuddha. This is interesting. I think we can finish with this. Vijja-Charana Sampanna. What is Vijja? Vijja is the word for great knowledge. Charana is the word for great practices. So Buddha had 8 knowledges, as you can see here, and 15 practices. We call them charana. See all these 15. Now I have a question here. The question is, when you learn Dhamma, you have to understand that you have to keep up with 2 things regularly and in the long run. What are they? Vijja and charana. That means knowledge and practice. One should not go over the other one. Don't pick up one over the other one too. You need Dhamma knowledge. At the same time, you need how to incorporate them in your life. Let us pick up one of the practices Buddha had in his life, so as he was called as charana. This is interesting. Bhojane mattanyuta, knowing the proper extent regarding food. Knowing the proper extent in receiving alms food, pindapata, and enjoying it. In receiving pindapata, the Buddha considers the degree of devotion of the donor. If the devotion is strong, but the gift is small, the Buddha does not scorn the gift for its smallness, but accept it. That means when someone is donating something, he has no problem with regard to how much that person is donating, how much food that person is donating, right? So he appreciates everyone's offerings. And more importantly, with regard to the food, in enjoying the food thus collected, the Buddha never eats to the full, but stops 4 or 5 morsels short of filling his stomach. More important, he never takes food without cultivating the bhikkhu's contemplation while eating. I think we do that during retreats. Why we do it? Just to be mindful about what and how we are eating. So the Buddha practiced moderation with regard to food. Is it something very interesting to us? Today's world? How important is having a good attitude with regard to food? Attitude and practice. Most of our problems, health problems, they are coming from eating issues, right? How much we eat and what we are eating. And how often do we eat? Nowadays, we have a problem because food is not that difficult to find out, right? Not like 20, 30 years ago. There are a lot of ways to preserve And then there are very easy ways to bring the food. So Buddha is asking, showing an example that you should not fast too much. That's interesting. Don't fast too much and don't eat too much. These are problematic things. But on a full moon day, on a retreat, you might practice Vikala Bhojana. But when you fast, if you fast too much, it can bring you to Atta Kilamatana Yoga, self-modification. And if you eat too much, it will bring you to self-indulgence, Kamsukalika. So we have to balance out our food intake, habits, how much we eat. So this way, Dīghajāṇu Sutta says, if you go back to Dīghajāṇu Sutta, you can see the Pali site. Before we go to a discussion here. What is saddhā-sampadā? Saddhā-sampadā means when anyone, a layperson, has trust with regard to the Buddha's 9 great qualities. So how to create that trust? Only by understanding these 9 great qualities, the way how Buddha explained to us. I have shared with you 3 blog posts, so all the information are there. So you can once again revisit what we did during the Rajagna Sutta time. So the more you understand who the Buddha is, the more trust will be accomplished. You will have the accomplishment of trust. Otherwise, don't try to read the Buddha just from a Buddha statue, from a Buddha image. You have to read who the Buddha is, the way how the Buddha explained. Then only you will have the trust. Okay, now we are going to take any questions with regard to our discussion. Of course, there is something.
Sutta, the class.
Yeah, give me a second. By practicing Yoniso Manasikara.
Good day.
By practicing Yoniso Manasikara, the level of ill will can be slowly reduced, at least not to be developed to higher level, even yes. At the same time, being able to understand what's happening, watch our own things. It will help us. All right, any questions about today the Sutta, Dīghajāṇu Sutta? You may raise your virtual hand.
Bhante,
Yes.
this is not regarding to Sutta, but basically when I read the psychological book on the Western approaches, they say when suppressing our feeling, it's not good. We have to express it to show our dissatisfaction and so on. But when we look at the suttas, which says that something like, I feel like we are suppressing. I don't know by the right word, whether I'm using right word or not. But it's a kind of like contradicting between the two kind of approaches. So what's Bhante's view on that?
Okay, very interesting question. I don't know whether you are asking this question by reading Vitakka-Santana Sutta in the Majjhima Nikaya, where something similar what you said was given, because there are certain things that that Sutta advises people to do with regard to akusala. You can substitute an akusala with regard to its positive side. Let's say you are jealous, you're going to bring altruistic thought. And if nothing is going to work, you clench your teeth and do something. But the thing is that if you look at Satipatthana Sutta and many other suttas, what we understand is something very similar to Western psychology. Now, in psychology, I say when the children, teenagers, anybody showing their emotions, don't try to stop. Let them express, right? But there are some issues. What Buddhism says is that when you are frustrated, you will explain, you will show it, but you are showing it a different way. When you understand what is that particular emotion, what is that particular feeling, you will have better way to understand it. It is not that you are not supposed to express it. You have to express it in a better way. That's why when we learn about sutras and then Buddhism in particular, mindfulness, we are understanding, say for instance, anger, maybe a frustration. Think about you get into a restaurant and the food is not nice, right? then you need to tell that. I mean, if you are supposed to tell it, if it is a famous place, you have to tell it. But are you going to be mad right away when you see the food? Food is not nice. Everybody understand? Everybody, we're gonna get out of this restaurant. Is that the way we're gonna say that? No, we're gonna say it in a constructive, proper way. When we learn Buddhism, we are still exhibiting our review, but in the proper way. So, say for instance, you don't like something in your life with regard to loved ones. There's a way to say that, express it. Not that you become very what do you call haywire all of a sudden. So Buddhism gives us the knowledge to express it in a proper way. Not that Buddhism is asking, hey, you have to suppress, and then that will be the help. Actually, when you suppress it, you might be very stressed out too. And the other person also will not know what is going on with your life. So that's what I can say about it. We have to show in the proper way if it is necessary.
Thank you, Bhante. But can I say it in one sentence, like not what we say, but how we say it?
How we say, yes,
Yeah.
definitely. We don't have to stay quiet and then keep all the suffering to us. If it is something that other people should know, we have to say it, but in the proper way, the way how you understand, and then not that is Buddhism actually. You are very concerned about everybody, but you still want to say something wrong here.
Thank you, Bhante.
All right.
Yeah, Bhante, it's also a say at the right time. Is that
The
correct?
right time is also included. Right time,
Important.
right person, proper way,
Yeah,
whether should I say private or public.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, and considering what will happen are consequences. So by looking, that is the Buddhist wisdom. Then you have that, when you have that Buddhist wisdom, you are proper
Yeah.
communicating. You are not hiding your things and then suffering by yourself.
Sama vacha, is it, Bhante?
Samma vacha applies to how we going to communicate at that point.
Yeah.
Now, let's say I'm suffering, then I want to communicate. But think about many people who are taking their life. What is the problem? They keep their suffering to them. They are not able to express themselves, speak up. This is the issue. So when we are letting them to speak up at the right time, we know that their comments are acknowledged and they know there is support, right? So yes, definitely they should express in the proper way. Any
Thank you.
other questions with regard to Dīghajāṇu Sutta and all that? Yes. There's a question here. Bhante, can we say Akaravati Saddha is the result from practicing Ehipasiko? Well, Ehipasiko means that openness. Buddhism asks anybody to come and see, not come and accept. So when that approach is there, we are able to keep on to that wise trust. Yes, I mean, definitely we should have an openness for anything. I mean, we cannot control anybody. So yeah, yes, that is supportive.
Bhante, can I ask to clarify the sutta that says that, oh, he beats me and he scolds me and all that? I'm still quite confused in how a person should react when he keeps beating me. Suppose the abusive spouse keep beating up his wife or children. So we cannot apply this saying like, oh, I can take it, although he beats me, he scolds me, he abused me. So how do we reconcile with that?
Well, number one, I'm looking at it from a modern perspective too. Number one is that if there is hitting, beating happening, definitely he or she should make sure that safety, that's number one. Before we talk about Dhamma, we're going to practice Dhamma. First thing is safety. Then let us talk about how to process the emotions and what to do at that point. If not, there is no idea that to accept the beating, and then you don't have to hate that person because definitely somebody is going to go through a lot of problem. So safety is number one.
Yeah.
then can think about what could be a better way to go ahead with this person or not. Whether we could go for a counseling, whether we could learn something from somebody,
Yes.
whether the person is open to discuss, so those things are secondary.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I agree to that. But
Mm.
there are people who really believe it blindly and endure it for 30, 40 years until they're almost killed before they
Yeah,
discover.
that's why we are saying that wisdom should come to
Yes,
that
yes.
compassion.
Right.
Why she or he is thinking as such, especially this is happening from a lady's side. Why she is doing that? Maybe she doesn't know what to do.
Yes.
Yes, because her mother-in-law, father-in-law, that side, there is no support for that too. She can't speak up. And her friends, society is observing her, what to do. So now we are educating people. What could
Yeah.
be a better way for you to understand? At
Mm.
least there is support that you go and get to overcome the problem.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just end up by saying, oh, this is my karma. I have to live to this karma for the
Now,
rest of my life.
if the person says this is karma, then the person is ignorant about karma as well as how
Yeah.
to proceed the problem. So
Right,
issues
right.
over there.
They're non-Buddhist and all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So we can take one more question if you
Thank
have,
you.
and then we will transfer the merits if you have. Please raise your virtual hand if you have. So that means you know how to trust the Buddha now. Huh? How to trust the Buddha? How to have the better trusting about the Buddha? How to trust the Buddha in the proper way. Right? Trust about the Buddha means how to trust the Buddha in the proper ways. We have to go beyond the Buddha statue, Buddha image, cultural understanding, nuances, and only by reading, understanding his 9 great qualities. All right, if there are no questions at this point, we're going to transfer the good karmas. So I want to summarize again. Today we discussed the first uh, quality that we have to develop in terms of our next life, especially lay people. If you want to be happy in your next life, to be reborn in a better place, definitely you will supposed to be reborn in a human place. Then you need to develop understanding and then trust about the Buddha's 9 great qualities. This is what we discussed today. That's a must before you go to Sila, then Chaga and Panya. So may all the good karmas you've been making today regard to understanding this saddhā-sampadā be transferred to all the departed relatives who passed away in the name of all of us. May departed ones be well and happy. May they attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Idam me ñāti nang hotu sukhitā hontu ñātayo. Idam me ñāti nang hotu sukhitā hontu ñātayo. Idam me ñāti nang hotu sukhitā hontu ñātayo. May Deva Naga Mahitika receive all these good karmas. May they be well and happy. May they protect and bless all of you for good health, quality of life, prosperity, safety, happiness, which also should extend to all your family members at the same time. May Deva Naga Mahindika in particular bless our Dhamma journeys. May our Dhamma journeys become seamless, consistent Dhamma journeys. May Devanaga Mahindika finally attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Ittavata amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ittavata amhehi sambatang punya sampadang Sabe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ittavata cha amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Akasattha cha bhummatta devanaga mahindika punyantang anumodidva Chirang Rakkhang Tusasanang Akasattha Chibhummata Devanaga Mahindika Punyantang Anumuditva Chirang Rakkhang Tudesanang Akasattha Chibhummata Devanaga Mahindika Punyantang Anumuditva Chirang Rakkhang Tumang Parang Chirang Rakkhang Tutwang Sadati. Next, we are going to make our Dhamma wish. Our Dhamma wish is always surrounded with, to be able to be surrounded with Kalyana Mitras, like-minded Dhamma friends like you. Maybe be able to be surrounded with more Kalyana Mitras. At the same time, maybe become Kalyana Mitras to as many sentient beings as you meet in this samsaric life, till we attain Nibbana. So with this beautiful, noble wish, we're going to recite the stanza. Imina punya kammena mami bala samagamu satang samagamu yavanimbana patya. Finally, may all the good karmas we've been making today by understanding saddhā-sampadā. We are moving on the Vyagapada Sutta's more Dhamma teachings, and today we learned the first good quality that we have to practice, especially as a layperson on your side, to make the next life a comfortable, better place for your spiritual practice. That is saddhā-sampadā, and three more sampadas to be discussed. Sila, Chaga, Panya, they are on the way to be discussed. May all the good karmas we've been making today by learning, discussing, being curious, and then after this discussion, maybe tomorrow, day after, you're going to learn more in your own homework revisions. May all these good karmas be supportive and helpful for all of us to attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Blessings. Abhivadana silis nichang vadha pacha inu. Chattaru dhamma vaddhanti ayuvanno sukhang balang ayurarogya sampatti sagga sampatti mevacha ato nibbana sampatti iminati samicchatu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. With those blessings, we are going to wrap up our Friday Sutta discussion. I'm wishing you a pleasant good night until we see you again on Friday. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night. Good night.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you very
Bhante.
much, Bhante.
Okay, good night, Bhante.
Thank you,
See you all
Bhante.
next
Good
week.
night.
Yes, thank you, Bhante.
Thank,
See you next
Good night.
week.
See you
thank you,
all.
Bhante.
Yeah.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Good night and take
Bye.
care,
Good night.
everybody.
Yes.
Good night.
Sadhu Bhante, thank
Good
you.
night.
Sadhu,
Thank you,
sadhu,
Bhante.
sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu.
Good night.
Good night.
Sadhu, everyone. Good
Good night.
night.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yes. Yes. I'm going to stop the recording. Also, this